His records have sold over 1 billion copies. More people visit his home, Graceland, than almost any other home in America, second only to the White House. Decades after his death on August 16th, 1977, he is still one of the most recognizable figures on the planet. But Elvis Presley's legacy isn't just in his music or his movies. It's in our heads, specifically in our dreams. Why do people still dream about him? Why do they see him in their sleep, get warnings from him, or receive messages of comfort? It's more than just being a fan. These dreams tap into something deeper about fame, death, and what we want from our heroes. They are strange, sometimes funny, often deeply moving. People who never even listened to his music have woken up with his image burned into their minds. It's a phenomenon that goes beyond celebrity worship. It's a modern form of folklore playing out in the theater of the subconscious mind. What does it mean when a dead rock and roll star becomes a recurring character in the world's collective dreamscape? And what do these bizarre visions tell us about ourselves? Number 18. What if you knew the exact day he would die? It's the summer of 1977. The heat is thick across the American South. A woman named Sarah, a lifelong fan in Alabama, has a recurring dream. It's not elaborate. There's no music, no flashing lights. It's just a calendar page. The month is August. A single date is circled in thick black ink. The 16th. A feeling of dread washes over her every time she wakes up. She tells her husband, who laughs it off. It's just a dream, he says. But the feeling won't go away. It's a cold knot in her stomach that has nothing to do with the summer weather. She doesn't know what it means, but she knows it's connected to Elvis. She feels a strange, unexplainable need to play his gospel records, particularly Peace in the Valley. On the afternoon of August 16th, the news breaks. Elvis Presley is dead. The date on the dream calendar clicks into place. Sarah's feeling of dread becomes a wave of grief, mixed with a chilling sense of validation. She had a premonition. She knew. Stories like this are common in the folklore surrounding major historical events. They are accounts of precognition, the supposed ability to see future events. The field of parapsychology has studied this for decades. One of the pioneers was J.B. Rhine, who established a laboratory at Duke University in the 1930s to study extrasensory perception, or ESP. He conducted thousands of experiments, often using card-guessing tests, to see if people could know things without using their five senses. His results were controversial, but sparked a huge public interest in the paranormal. A premonitive dream is a specific type of this phenomenon. It's not just a guess, it's an experience that feels real and emotionally charged. Skeptics offer a simpler explanation. They point to the law of large numbers. Elvis Presley had tens of millions of fans around the world in 1977. Every night, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of them were dreaming about him. It's statistically inevitable that some of those dreams would be dark or foreboding. Someone was bound to dream of a specific date, a car crash, or a health scare. When one of those random dreams happens to coincide with a real event, we remember it. It becomes a significant story. This is known as confirmation bias. We forget the thousands of dreams that predicted nothing and focus on the one that seemed to come true. The dream wasn't a psychic signal, it was a statistical accident. But that doesn't explain the feeling. For people like Sarah, the emotional weight of the dream is what makes it real. It felt different from a normal dream. The philosopher and aeronautical engineer J.W. Dunn wrote a book in 1927 called An Experiment with Time. He kept a detailed dream journal and noticed that many of his dreams seemed to contain elements of future events. He proposed a theory that time is not strictly linear. He suggested that in the dream state, our consciousness can move more freely, accessing moments from both the past and the future. From this perspective, a premonition isn't about predicting the future, it's about experiencing a part of it that has, in some sense, already happened. So what really happened in that Alabama bedroom? Was it a random firing of neurons that happened to land on the right date? Or was it a brief, terrifying glimpse into the fabric of time itself, a warning that couldn't be understood until it was too late? What if the human mind really does have a subtle antenna for future events, but the signal is usually too weak to notice? How many premonitions are dismissed as just anxiety or a bad dream? And if someone truly knew with absolute certainty what would happen, could anything have been done to stop it? Number 17, can a ghost speak through a radio? Imagine this. It's late at night, sometime in the early 1980s. You're driving down a long, empty highway. The radio is on, tuned to an AM station, but you're in a dead zone between cities. All you can hear is static, a fuzzy white noise hiss. You're about to turn it off, but then you hear something inside the static. A voice. It's faint, but it's unmistakable. It's Elvis. He's singing a line from Love Me Tender, but it's distorted, ghostly. It lasts for only a few seconds, and then disappears back into the hiss. You check the dial. There's no station there. It was just static, but you heard it. You're sure of it. This experience, hearing a voice or music in random noise, is a well-documented phenomenon. It's a form of auditory pareidolia. Pareidolia is the tendency for the human brain to perceive meaningful patterns in vague or random stimuli. Seeing a face in the clouds or the man in the moon are classic visual examples. The brain is a pattern-making machine. It's hardwired to find signals in noise, a survival trait that helped our ancestors detect predators hiding in the bushes. Sometimes that pattern detector goes into overdrive. In the world of paranormal investigation, this is known as an electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP. It began in the 1950s when a Swedish artist named Fredrik Jurgensen was recording bird songs. When he played the tape back, he heard what he believed to be the voice of his dead mother. This led to decades of people using tape recorders, radio scanners, and digital recorders in supposedly haunted locations, hoping to capture voices from the other side. The idea is that spirits can manipulate electronic devices to form words, and Elvis is a frequent subject of these supposed EVPs. People claim to hear his voice on ghost boxes, devices that rapidly scan radio frequencies or hidden in the background noise of recordings made at Graceland. Why him? Because his voice is one of the most recognizable in human history. When our brain is searching for a pattern in random static, it's likely to land on something familiar. The specific cadence and deep tone of Elvis's voice make it a prime candidate for auditory pareidolia. Your brain hears a few random frequencies that vaguely match the pattern of his speech, and it fills in the blanks. You don't just hear noise, you hear the king. This connects to a broader cultural idea about technology and the spirit world. Thomas Edison himself, the inventor of the phonograph, was reportedly trying to build a spirit phone late in his life. He believed that if consciousness survived death, it might be possible to communicate with it using a sensitive enough instrument. The radio, with its ability to pull invisible signals out of the air, has always had a mystical quality. It feels a bit like magic. In the 2005 movie White Noise, a man communicates with his dead wife through radio static, bringing the concept of EVP to a mainstream audience. The idea that our loved ones or our idols are just a frequency away is deeply comforting. So when you hear that ghostly voice on the highway, are you receiving a message from beyond the grave? Is the spirit of Elvis Presley somehow imprinting his voice onto the radio waves, trying to reach out? Or is your own brain simply playing a trick on you, building a familiar ghost out of the raw material of random noise? Is it possible that certain locations like Graceland hold some kind of residual energy that can be picked up by electronic devices? What if strong emotions and iconic voices can leave a permanent echo in the environment? Or is the desire to hear him again so strong that we are willing to find him anywhere, even in the meaningless hiss of an untuned radio? At number 16, did you just see Elvis at the grocery store? The dream is almost always the same. It's mundane. You're in a 24-hour convenience store, a supermarket, or a Burger King. You're waiting in line or picking out cereal. Then you see him. He's older, heavier, and wearing a simple tracksuit and a baseball cap pulled down low. But it's him. The eyes, the unmistakable curl of the lip. He catches you looking, puts a finger to his lips in a shh gesture, and then turns and walks away. You wake up with a feeling of profound certainty. Elvis is alive. This isn't just a dream, it's the cornerstone of a modern myth. The Elvis is alive theory is perhaps the most famous celebrity conspiracy of all time. It started almost immediately after his death in 1977. The first book on the subject, Elvis, Where Are You? By Gail Brewer Giorgio, was published in 1988. It fueled a nationwide obsession. The Weekly World News, a supermarket tabloid, ran headlines about Elvis sightings for years. People reported seeing him everywhere, from Kalamazoo, Michigan, to a small town in Argentina. The belief became a cultural joke, but for many it was, and still is, deeply serious. Why did this myth take hold so powerfully? Psychologically, it's a form of collective denial. The death of a beloved figure can be traumatic for the public. Elvis wasn't just a singer, he was a symbol of youth, rebellion, and American possibility. His sudden, undignified death at the age of 42 was a shock to the system. It was easier for some to believe that he faked his death to escape the pressures of fame. This narrative allows the hero to live on, untarnished by his tragic end. This pattern is not new. It's a modern version of the King Under the Mountain myth, a story found in cultures all over the world. These legends tell of a heroic leader who is not truly dead, but is merely sleeping, waiting to return when his people need him most. King Arthur is said to be sleeping in Avalon. Frederick Barbarossa, a Holy Roman Emperor, supposedly slumbers under the Kyffhauser Mountain in Germany. These stories provide a sense of hope and continuity. They promise that the great leader will return to save the day. In the 20th century, a rock and roll star became the subject of this ancient mythological template. The specific details of the sightings are also important. They are always in normal, everyday places. A supermarket, a gas station. This grounds the myth in reality. It suggests that Elvis didn't escape to a private island. He escaped to a life of anonymity among the common people he came from. It makes the story more believable and more personal. Anyone could be the one to spot him. The dream of seeing him at the grocery store is the subconscious mind playing out this fantasy. It's a personal encounter with the living myth, a 1997 poll by USA. Today found that as many as 7% of Americans believed Elvis was still alive. That's millions of people. The belief has faded over time as the biological reality of aging makes the idea of a secret life less and less plausible. But the dream persists. It has become a piece of American folklore, a shared story we tell ourselves about fame, death, and the desire for our heroes to be immortal. What does it say about a culture when it refuses to let its heroes die? Is it a healthy form of collective grieving, or is it a sign of a deeper inability to confront the reality of loss? And if Elvis could have faked his own death to find peace, wouldn't he deserve it? Number 15. What if he still had one more song to sing? A young songwriter is struggling. He's been working on a melody for weeks, but the words won't come. He feels blocked, uninspired. He goes to sleep frustrated. That night, he has a vivid dream. He's in a recording studio. It's dark, moody, and filled with vintage equipment. And at the microphone, looking healthy and focused, is Elvis Presley. He's listening to the songwriter's melody. He nods, and then he starts to sing. The lyrics pour out of him, a perfect, heartbreaking story of love and loss that fits the music exactly. The songwriter wakes up, grabs a pen, and writes down every word he can remember. This dream speaks to one of the great tragedies of Elvis's life, his unfulfilled artistic potential. In the 1960s, after his time in the Army, his career was largely controlled by his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. He was forced to star in a string of formulaic, low-budget movies and record the mediocre soundtracks that went with them. While the world was changing with the music of the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and the Rolling Stones, Elvis was stuck singing songs like Do the Clam. There were moments when his true talent broke through. The 1968 comeback special showed a raw, powerful performer who could still electrify an audience. His recording sessions in Memphis in 1969 produced some of his greatest work, including Suspicious Minds and In the Ghetto. These moments showed what was possible when he was given creative control and quality material. But they were exceptions. For much of the last decade of his life, he was artistically adrift. The dream of Elvis recording a new masterpiece is a dream of redemption. It's a fantasy of what could have been. What if he had broken free from the Colonel? What if he had collaborated with the great songwriters of his era? What if he had lived long enough to make a mature, reflective album like Johnny Cash's American Recordings? These questions haunt his legacy. This type of dream also reflects the creative process itself. Many artists, from writers to musicians, have reported getting ideas from their dreams. Paul McCartney famously said the melody for Yesterday came to him in a dream. The subconscious mind is constantly working, making connections, and solving problems while we sleep. For songwriters struggling with a block, dreaming of a musical icon like Elvis is a way for their own subconscious to offer a solution. Elvis becomes a symbol of pure, unblocked creativity. He is the muse. The psychologist Carl Jung wrote extensively about the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of images, symbols, and archetypes that all humans inherit. In this framework, Elvis could be seen as a modern archetype, the wounded artist. He is a figure of immense talent who was also deeply flawed and constrained. The dream of him finishing a song is a symbolic act of healing that wound, not just for him, but for the dreamer who identifies with that struggle. It's about completing the unfinished business of our own creative lives. Peter Guralnick's definitive two-volume biography, Last Train to Memphis and Careless Love, paints a detailed picture of this artistic struggle. He shows a man who loved music deeply, but was often trapped by the machinery of his own fame. The dream of the new song is a direct response to that tragedy. It's a way of writing a happier ending to the story, even if it's only in our sleep. Why do we mourn the art that was never made as much as the artist who is gone? Is the dream of a new Elvis song a way of keeping his creative spirit alive, or is it a reflection of our own desire for one more masterpiece? And what secrets about our own creativity are our subconscious minds trying to tell us when they use the voice of a king? Number 14, can you ever really go home again? The dream takes you back in time, not to the glittering jumpsuits of Las Vegas, but to a small two-room shotgun shack in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's the 1930s, a young boy with blonde hair is playing in the dirt yard. It's Elvis. He's not a star yet, he's just a poor kid, the son of Vernon and Gladys Presley. He's shy, quiet, and deeply attached to his mother. In the dream, you feel an overwhelming sense of peace and innocence. This is Elvis before he was Elvis. This is the boy before the world claimed him. This dream is about origins. It's a journey back to the source of the American dream. The story of Elvis Presley is the story of a poor boy who became a king. His birthplace in Tupelo is now a museum, a pilgrimage site for fans. It represents the humble beginnings from which his incredible life sprang. To dream of this place is to dream of a simpler time, a time of purity before the complications of fame, money, and addiction set in. Psychologically, this is a powerful form of nostalgia. Nostalgia is not just a fond remembrance of the past, it can be a profound emotional experience. The word itself comes from Greek roots, nostos, homecoming, and algos, pain or ache. It's a painful longing to return home. In a world that is often chaotic and stressful, the dream of Tupelo is a retreat to a symbolic home, a place of safety and innocence. It's a desire to return to the womb, to a time before life got messy. This dream also taps into the public's fascination with the childhoods of famous people. We want to understand what made them who they were. Was the genius already visible in the child? Biographies like Elaine Dundee's Elvis and Gladys explore his early life in great detail, focusing on his incredibly close, almost suffocating relationship with his mother. And Gladys was the center of his world, and her death in 1958, when Elvis was in the army, devastated him. Many believe he never fully recovered. The dream of the young boy in Tupelo is a dream of Elvis when he was still whole, when he still had his mother and his world was small and secure. The image of the child king is a powerful archetype. It represents a combination of innocence and destiny. We see this in stories from King Arthur to Luke Skywalker. They are figures who come from humble beginnings but are destined for greatness. The dream of the child, Elvis, reminds us of that part of his story. It strips away the layers of celebrity and reveals the vulnerable, hopeful boy at the core. It's a reminder that before he was a global icon, he was just a kid with a dream. The American author Thomas Wolfe famously wrote a novel titled You Can't Go Home Again. It's about the idea that once you leave your past behind, you can never truly return to it because both you and the place have changed. The dream of Tupelo is a direct challenge to that idea. In the world of dreams, you can go home again. You can revisit that place of innocence. You can see the hero before his long, difficult journey began. Is our obsession with the origins of our heroes a way of understanding their greatness, or is it a way of reassuring ourselves that they were once just like us? Does the dream of an innocent past offer real comfort, or is it a dangerous escape from the complexities of the present? And what lost part of our own childhood are we trying to find when we dream of a small boy in a dusty Mississippi yard? Number 13. What if Elvis could forgive your sins? In this dream, you have done something wrong. You've let someone down, made a mistake at work, or acted in a way you regret. You feel a heavy burden of guilt. Then, Elvis appears. He's not the young rebel or the Vegas showman. He's older, wiser, dressed in a simple white suit. He sits with you, listens to your confession, and then he puts a hand on your shoulder. He doesn't say much, maybe just, "It's okay, son," or "Everybody makes mistakes." But you feel a profound sense of peace and forgiveness. The guilt is lifted. You wake up feeling lighter, absolved. This dream casts Elvis in the role of a spiritual guide or a father confessor. For many people, especially those who grew up in the 1950s and 60s, Elvis was a formative figure. He was a constant presence in their lives, almost like a family member. It makes sense that in times of emotional distress, he might appear in their subconscious as a figure of authority and comfort. Carl Jung identified a number of archetypes that appear in dreams and myths, one of which is the wise old man. This figure represents wisdom, guidance, and spiritual insight. He often appears when the dreamer is facing a crisis or a moral dilemma. He offers a key, a map, or a piece of advice that helps the dreamer find their way. In this dream, Elvis has been transformed into that archetype. He is no longer just a singer, he is a source of spiritual comfort. This is deeply connected to Elvis's own spirituality. Although he was a rock and roll star, Elvis was also a deeply religious man. He grew up in the Assembly of God Church, and gospel music was his first and greatest love. He won all 3 of his Grammy Awards for gospel recordings. Throughout his life, he was constantly searching for spiritual meaning, reading books on religion and philosophy. He would often talk to his friends and entourage, the Memphis Mafia, about God and the afterlife. This spiritual side of Elvis is a key part of his persona for many fans. The dream of a forgiving Elvis taps directly into that part of his story. The act of confession and absolution is a powerful psychological process. It is a central ritual in many religions, most notably Catholicism. The idea of unburdening yourself to a higher authority and being granted forgiveness can have a profound therapeutic effect. For someone who is not formally religious, a dream figure can serve the same purpose. Or Elvis, as a benevolent and non-judgmental icon, becomes a safe figure to confess to. He represents a kind of secular grace. This dream isn't about the real flawed man. The real Elvis had his own demons and made many mistakes. This dream is about the idea of Elvis. It's about the comforting paternal image that he projected in some of his roles and in his gospel music. He becomes a blank screen onto which the dreamer can project their need for forgiveness and acceptance. He is the ultimate cool, understanding dad that many people wish they had. Why do we look to dead celebrities for the kind of spiritual guidance we once sought from priests or prophets? Does this dream reveal a spiritual void in modern life, a need for new kinds of saints? Or is it simply our mind's way of using a familiar, comforting face to help us process our own guilt and forgive ourselves? Number 12, does the king of excess have a warning for us? The dream is unsettling. You're in a dark, opulent hotel room in Las Vegas. The air is thick and stale. Sprawled in a chair is Elvis, but not the one from the posters. This is the Elvis of the final years. He's overweight, pale, and squeezed into a jeweled jumpsuit that is painfully tight. He's sweating under the lights. He seems tired and sad. He looks directly at you, and his eyes are filled with a deep weariness. He doesn't speak, but you get a clear message from him. Don't do what I did. Don't let it end this way. The dream is a cautionary tale. This vision of the fat Elvis is the tragic counterpoint to the vibrant, beautiful young man who changed the world. It's an image that has been used in jokes and parodies for decades, but it represents a profound and painful reality. In his final years, Elvis was isolated, unhealthy, and addicted to prescription drugs. His death from a heart attack at 42 was the direct result of this lifestyle of excess. To dream of this Elvis is to confront the dark side of the American dream. Elvis had everything: fame, wealth, adoration. But it wasn't enough to make him happy or save him from himself. His story becomes a powerful warning about the dangers of success. It shows that money and fame can be a prison, not a liberation. The dream is a symbolic confrontation with our own potential for self-destruction. The setting of Las Vegas is crucial. In the American imagination, Vegas is a city of illusion, risk, and excess. It's a place where fortunes are won and lost in an instant. From 1969 to 1976, Elvis performed over 600 sold-out shows there. He became the living embodiment of Vegas glitz and glamour, but it was also the place that cemented his isolation and decline. The dream uses Vegas as a stage for this morality play. It's a glittering trap. This dream can be interpreted through the lens of addiction studies. The cycle of addiction often involves denial and an inability to see the long-term consequences of one's actions. The dream figure of the late stage Elvis acts as a kind of ghost of Christmas future, showing the dreamer the ultimate price of unchecked appetites. It could be a warning about food, drugs, work, or any behavior that is spiraling out of control. Elvis becomes a powerful symbol for hitting rock bottom. This vision also reflects a cultural ambivalence towards celebrity. We build our idols up, but we also seem to take a grim satisfaction in watching them fall. The story of Elvis's decline is as much a part of his legend as his rise. It makes him human and relatable. It shows that even a king can be brought down by very human frailties. The dream forces the dreamer to look at this uncomfortable truth, to see the tragedy behind the legend. It's not a pleasant dream, but it can be a necessary one. It's a wake-up call delivered by the man who famously fell asleep for the last time. What is it about stories of decline that fascinates us so much? Do we need to see our heroes fail to feel better about our own imperfections? Or is the dream of the tragic Elvis a genuine message from our subconscious, a warning to change our path before it's too late? Number 11. What if you weren't the only one? In the dream, there are two of them. Two Elvis Presleys standing side by side. They look identical, but somehow that one of them is Jesse Garon Presley. Jesse was Elvis's identical twin brother, who was stillborn 35 minutes before Elvis was delivered on January 8, 1935. In the dream, the two brothers don't speak. They just look at each other and at you. There is a sense of completeness, but also a profound sense of sadness for what was lost. You are witnessing a reunion that never happened in life. The story of Jesse Garon is a haunting and essential part of the Elvis mythology. Elvis grew up as an only child, but he always knew he was a twin. He felt Jesse's absence throughout his life. He would often speak to his brother in private and felt that a part of him was always missing. This lifelong sense of loss is seen by many biographers as a key to understanding his personality, his loneliness, and his deep need for connection. To dream of the two twins together is to explore the theme of duality. It's about the person you are and the person you could have been. The what if of life. What if Jesse had lived? Would Elvis have become the same person? Would having a brother have saved him from his loneliness and isolation? The dream brings these two halves together, creating a whole person for a brief, fleeting moment. It's a dream of healing a fundamental wound. This idea of a shadow self or a doppelganger is a common theme in literature and psychology. Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a classic example. The doppelganger represents the other side of our personality, the parts of ourselves that we hide or repress. In this dream, Jesse isn't an evil twin, but he represents the other path, the life not lived. He is the quiet, private life that Elvis could have had if he hadn't become a global superstar. The dream could also be interpreted as a manifestation of survivor's guilt. It's a known psychological phenomenon where a person who survives a traumatic event feels guilty that they lived while others did not. It's possible that on some subconscious level, Elvis himself felt this way. His devotion to his mother Gladys, who lost Jesse at birth, may have been partly driven by a need to make up for her loss. The dream, experienced by a fan, taps into this deep, primal emotional current of the Elvis story. The number of twins in the world is small, but the idea of having a secret other self is universal. We all have roads not taken, versions of ourselves that exist only in our imagination. The dream of Elvis and Jesse makes that abstract idea concrete and deeply personal. It gives a face to the ghost that haunted the king his entire life. It's a powerful image of what it means to be alone and to long for the part of yourself that is missing. Is the intense bond between twins something that can transcend death? Did Elvis feel a spiritual connection to his lost brother throughout his life? And when we dream of our own what-ifs, our own lost paths, are we, in a way, dreaming of our own Jesse Garon? Number 10. Would you accept an invitation to Graceland? The dream is a pure fan fantasy. You receive a formal invitation in the mail. It's embossed with the ETCB taking care of business lightning bolt logo. Elvis Presley has personally invited you to Graceland. You arrive at the famous mansion in Memphis. The gates swing open for you, and he's there waiting on the steps to greet you. He's charming, funny, and treats you like an old friend. He gives you a personal tour of the house, showing you the jungle room, the TV room, everything. For a little while, you are part of his inner circle. You belong. This dream is about acceptance and belonging. For fans, Graceland is more than just a house. It's a sacred space. It's the home that Elvis bought for his parents, the place he returned to after his tours, the one constant in his chaotic life. It represents family, safety, and a connection to his roots. To be invited inside by the man himself is the ultimate validation. It says, "You are welcome here, you are one of us." Celebrity worship is a complex phenomenon. At its most basic, it's about admiration for someone's talent or charisma, but it can go much deeper. For some, a celebrity becomes a figure onto whom they project their own hopes and desires. A personal connection is formed, even though it's one-sided. The celebrity feels like a friend. This is known as a parasocial relationship. It's the relationship between a media user and a media figure. The dream of being invited to Graceland is the ultimate fulfillment of that parasocial relationship. The one-sided connection becomes a two-way street. The dream also speaks to the desire to see the real person behind the public image. The tour of the house is symbolic. You are being shown the private spaces, the places hidden from the world. You are being let in on the secret. This is a common desire with any celebrity. We want to know what they are really like, away from the cameras and the crowds. The dream provides a fantasy of that intimate access. The TCB logo is an important detail. Elvis gave necklaces with this logo to his closest friends and members of his entourage. It was the symbol of his inner circle. To receive an invitation with that logo is to be symbolically inducted into the Memphis Mafia. It's a dream of being chosen, of being special. In a world where many people feel anonymous or overlooked, this is a powerful and appealing fantasy. The reality of Elvis's life at Graceland in his later years was often one of isolation. He was surrounded by his entourage, but was often lonely and bored, a prisoner in his own home. The dream edits out this sad reality. It presents an idealized version of Graceland, a place of warmth, friendship, and excitement. It's the Graceland of the fan's imagination, not necessarily the historical reality. It is a perfect, curated experience delivered by the subconscious. What is the deep human need that drives us to seek the approval of people we've never met? Is a parasocial relationship a harmless fantasy, or can it become a substitute for real-world connections? And if you were truly invited to Graceland, would the real man live up to the Elvis in your dreams? Number 9. What if he told you the truth about his death? The dream is clandestine. You meet Elvis in a secret location, a secluded cabin, or a quiet diner late at night. He looks older, but healthy. He has faked his own death, and he's been living in hiding all these years. He has chosen you, for some reason, to tell his story to. He explains exactly how he did it, the fake body in the coffin, the secret escape plan, the reasons why he had to disappear. He is trusting you with the biggest secret in music history. You wake up with a mission to tell the world the truth. This is the ultimate conspiracy theory dream. It goes beyond the simple Elvis is alive sighting and provides a narrative, a secret history. The dream gives the dreamer a special role. They are not just a passive observer, they are the chosen one, the keeper of the truth. Conspiracy theories are compelling because they offer simple explanations for complex and disturbing events. The official story of Elvis's death is messy and sad. It involves addiction, poor health, and a slow, undignified decline. A conspiracy theory offers a more exciting and heroic alternative. In this version, Elvis is not a victim. He is a clever, powerful figure who took control of his own destiny. He outsmarted the world. This is a much more satisfying story to believe. Psychologists who study conspiratorial thinking have identified several key traits. People who believe in conspiracies often have a higher need for cognitive closure, a desire for firm answers to questions. They also tend to be more suspicious of authority. A theory that says the official story is a lie is naturally appealing to this mindset. The dream of Elvis revealing the secret is the subconscious mind creating a story that fulfills these needs. It provides a definitive answer and positions the official narrative, the media, the government, as the villain. The dream also has elements of a classic hero's journey. The dreamer is given a quest, a secret truth that they must reveal to the world. This gives the dreamer a sense of purpose and importance. They are no longer just a fan, they are a key player in the ongoing drama of the Elvis saga. The details of how he faked his death are a cottage industry of their own. Theories involve a wax dummy in the coffin, a secret helicopter on the roof of Graceland, and a new identity provided by a government agency. Books and websites have explored these ideas in minute detail. The dream simply takes this existing folklore and personalizes it. It's an interactive conspiracy theory, where you get to be the one who breaks the story. The persistence of these theories says something about our relationship with truth and evidence. For a believer, the lack of evidence for the conspiracy is actually proof of how good the cover-up is. Any evidence to the contrary is seen as part of the disinformation campaign. It becomes a closed loop of logic that is very difficult to break. The dream of a personal confession from Elvis is the ultimate proof, an unshakable piece of evidence that exists only in the dreamer's mind. Why is the idea of a grand conspiracy often more appealing than a simple, tragic truth? Does believing you are one of the few who knows what really happened give you a sense of power? And if Elvis really did fake his death, has he been watching this whole time, amused by the myths we've built around him? Number 8. Who was the man in the uniform? The dream is in black and white, like an old photograph. It's 1958. Elvis is in Germany, serving in the U.S. Army. He has his trademark haircut short in a military buzz cut. He looks young and a little lost. He's standing by a Jeep in the cold, far from home. In the dream, you feel his loneliness. This isn't the king of rock and roll. This is Private Presley, a soldier doing his duty. He's just a young man, stripped of his fame, trying to fit in. This dream focuses on a pivotal and strange chapter in Elvis's life. At the absolute peak of his fame in 1958, he was drafted into the Army. He could have sought a special assignment to entertain the troops, but Colonel Parker insisted he serve as a regular soldier. It was a brilliant public relations move. It showed that the rebellious rock and roller was also a patriotic American boy. It made him more acceptable to the older generation, but for Elvis, it was a traumatic experience. It came just after he bought Graceland for his parents, and while he was in Germany, his beloved mother Gladys died. He was rushed home for the funeral, and then had to return to his post, grieving and thousands of miles from home. This period changed him forever. It was in Germany that he was introduced to the amphetamines that would contribute to his later health problems. It was also where he met his future wife, a 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu. To dream of this Elvis is to dream of the man behind the myth. The army uniform was a great equalizer. It stripped away the gold lame suits and the guitars. It forced him to be just one of the guys. The dream taps into this sense of lost identity. Who is Elvis when he's not Elvis? The dream suggests he is a vulnerable, lonely young man, just like any other soldier far from home. This dream resonates with anyone who has had to put their personal dreams on hold to fulfill an obligation, whether it's military service, a family duty, or a demanding job. It's about the conflict between your personal identity and the role you are forced to play. Private Presley is a powerful symbol of this universal human experience. The black and white imagery of the dream is also significant. It places the event firmly in the past, in a different era. It gives it a sense of historical weight and seriousness. This isn't the colorful, chaotic world of rock and roll. This is the stark, disciplined world of the military. The dream is a meditation on duty, sacrifice, and the passage of time. Albert Goldman's controversial 1981 biography of Elvis portrayed his army time as a period of decline and introduction to bad habits. Other accounts, however, show a young man who genuinely tried to serve his country well and earn the respect of his fellow soldiers. The dream of the lonely GI tends to favor the more sympathetic interpretation. It sees him not as a fallen idol, but as a young man facing a difficult challenge with quiet dignity. Did serving in the army tame the rebellion out of Elvis? Or did it just teach him how to hide it better? Was this period a noble sacrifice for his country, or was it the beginning of the end for the artist he could have been? And what parts of our own true selves do we put away when we put on a uniform? Number 7. Could you feel the comeback before it happened? It's 1968. The world is in turmoil, the Vietnam War is raging, and Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy have just been assassinated. Elvis Presley has become a joke to many, a Hollywood actor making terrible movies. But a fan has a dream. They see Elvis on a small stage, surrounded by an audience. He's dressed head to toe in black leather. He's thin, dangerous, and full of raw energy. He's singing with a passion and power that nobody has seen from him in years. He's not acting, he's back. The fan wakes up with a feeling of incredible excitement and hope. A few months later, they turn on the TV and see it, the NBC television special, Elvis, exactly as it was in their dream. This is a dream of resurrection. The '68 comeback special is one of the most celebrated moments in music history. It was a massive gamble. Elvis hadn't performed live in over 7 years. His career was fading. The director of the special, Steve Binder, pushed Elvis to ditch the planned schmaltzy Christmas format and do something real. The result was electrifying. The segments where Elvis and his original bandmates sit in a circle, jamming on his old hits, are some of the most authentic and powerful performances ever filmed. He was hungry, funny, and brilliant. He reminded the world who he was. A dream that predicts this event is a powerful thing. It's not just a premonition of a single event, but a premonition of an artistic rebirth. It's a dream of hope and renewal, both for Elvis and for the culture he represented. In a year of chaos and despair, the dream promised that a powerful, unifying voice was about to return. From a psychological perspective, this dream could be seen as a form of wish fulfillment. By 1968, many of his original fans were deeply disappointed with the direction his career had taken. They missed the rebellious, exciting Elvis of the 1950s. The dream of the comeback is the subconscious mind creating the exact scenario that the fan longed for. It's a powerful expression of collective desire. The fact that it came true makes the dream feel prophetic. This taps into the idea of a zeitgeist, or the spirit of the times. Sometimes an idea is just in the air. The desire for Elvis to return to his roots was not a secret. Music critics were writing about it. Fans were talking about it. The dream could be a synthesis of all these cultural signals, a distillation of a shared cultural yearning. The dreamer didn't necessarily see the future. They just had a very clear and powerful understanding of what the present moment required. The black leather suit is a key symbol. It was a deliberate callback to his 1950s rebel image. And it was a statement. It said, "I'm not the family-friendly movie star anymore. I'm the guy who scared your parents." The suit represented a reclaiming of his original identity. For the dream to focus on this specific detail suggests a deep understanding of the symbolic language of rock and roll. Is it possible for a large group of people, like a fan base, to collectively will something into existence through their shared desire? How much of an artist's success is driven by their own talent, and how much is driven by the audience's readiness to receive them? And if you could dream a comeback for any faded star, who would it be? Number 6. What really happened when the king met the president? The dream is bizarre and surreal, like a scene from a strange movie. You are in the Oval Office at the White House. But sitting across from President Richard Nixon is Elvis Presley. He's wearing a purple velvet cape, a huge gold belt buckle, and sunglasses. He's showing the president his collection of police badges and offering his services as a federal agent at large to help fight the war on drugs. Nixon, looking a little confused, agrees to give him a real badge. The whole scene feels both ridiculous and strangely important. This dream is not a fantasy. It actually happened. On December 21st, 1970, Elvis Presley showed up unannounced at the White House and requested a meeting with President Nixon. The details of the meeting, which were documented by White House aides, are just as strange as the dream. Elvis was concerned about the counterculture, drug use, and anti-American sentiment. He wanted to help. The famous photograph of a caped Elvis shaking hands with a stiff-looking Nixon is one of the most requested images from the National Archives. To dream of this event is to dream of a collision of worlds. Elvis was the king of the counterculture, the symbol of youth rebellion. Nixon was the ultimate establishment figure, the leader of the silent majority that stood against that rebellion. To see them together is a moment of profound cultural cognitive dissonance. It doesn't make sense, and yet it happened. The dream highlights the absurdity of fame and power. By 1970, Elvis was living in a bizarre bubble. He was surrounded by people who never said no to him. He came to believe he could do anything, including becoming a secret agent to fight hippies. Nixon, for his part, saw a political opportunity. Meeting with Elvis was a way to connect with a segment of the population that he didn't understand. The meeting was a masterpiece of mutual delusion. This dream taps into the surreal nature of American history. The story is so strange it feels like a dream. It's a reminder that reality is often more bizarre than anything we can imagine. The image of Nixon and Elvis is a potent symbol of the weirdness of the late 20th century. It's a cultural icon that has been referenced in movies like Elvis and Nixon and in countless articles and books. Psychologically, the dream could represent a conflict within the dreamer. It's the rebellion of youth versus the responsibility of adulthood. It's the desire for freedom versus the need for order. Elvis and Nixon become living symbols of these opposing forces. The dream brings them together, forcing the dreamer to confront this internal conflict. The handshake between them is a symbolic of temporary truce. The irony of Elvis wanting to fight the war on drugs, given his own escalating prescription drug abuse, is a key part of the story's tragic power. He genuinely seemed to believe he could save America's youth from the very thing that was slowly killing him. The dream, by replaying this moment, forces us to confront this sad, complex contradiction at the heart of the man. What does it mean when a rebel becomes a supporter of the establishment he once fought against? Is this a natural part of growing older, or is it a betrayal of one's own past? And in the surreal theater of politics and celebrity, who is using whom? Number 5. Can a pair of shoes walk on their own? In this dream, you are in a museum. It's a vast empty hall, and in a glass case in the center of the room is a pair of blue suede shoes. They are instantly recognizable. They are the blue suede shoes. As you watch, the glass case dissolves. The shoes tap once, then twice, and then begin to dance on their own. They move across the floor, gliding and spinning with all the energy of a young Elvis Presley. There is no one wearing them. The shoes themselves are alive. This is a dream about the power of objects. It's a form of fetishism, not in the sexual sense, but in the anthropological sense. A fetish is an object that is believed to have supernatural or magical powers. In many cultures, objects associated with powerful people, saints, kings, or heroes, are thought to retain some of that person's essence. They become relics. For Elvis fans, certain objects have achieved this status. His jumpsuits, his guitars, his pink Cadillac, and of course his blue suede shoes. The song Blue Suede Shoes, written by Carl Perkins, but made famous by Elvis in 1956, is one of his signature tunes. The shoes themselves become a powerful symbol of the rebellion and style of 1950s rock and roll. To dream of them coming to life is to dream that the spirit of that era is still alive and kicking. The dream strips away the person and leaves only the symbol. It suggests that the idea of Elvis, the style, and the energy he represented has become so powerful that it can exist independently of the man himself. The shoes are dancing because the idea of rock and roll is still dancing. This is a common process in the creation of a myth. The historical person is replaced by a collection of powerful, enduring symbols. This dream also connects to the world of surrealist art. Artists like René Magritte and Salvador Dali love to take ordinary objects and place them in strange contexts, or give them unexpected life. A dream of dancing shoes is a classic surrealist image. It defies the laws of logic and physics, which is exactly what dreams do. It's the subconscious mind, as a surrealist painter, creating a powerful and memorable image from the raw material of cultural memory. The museum setting is important. A museum is a place where objects from the past are preserved and displayed. But it can also be a place where they are static and lifeless. You know, the shoes breaking out of the glass case is a rebellious act. It's a statement that the spirit of Elvis cannot be contained in a museum. It cannot be tamed or turned into a dusty historical artifact. It has to move. It has to dance. Why do we invest so much meaning in the inanimate objects our heroes leave behind? Is it a way of holding on to them, or is it a way of holding on to the time they represented? And if the symbols of an era can come to life, what does that say about the power of our own memories? Number 4, have you ever seen a king cry? The dream is quiet and intensely sad. You are in a small, private room at Graceland. Elvis is there, sitting on the edge of a bed. He is weeping, not loudly, but with deep, silent sobs that shake his whole body. Without being told that he is crying for his mother, Gladys. He is not a star. He is not a king. He is just a son who misses his mom. You feel an immense wave of empathy and sorrow for him. You want to comfort him, but you can't. You can only watch. This dream goes to the very heart of the Elvis Presley story, his relationship with his mother. Gladys Presley was the emotional center of his universe. He was, by all accounts, a devoted and loving son. He bought her Graceland, he bought her cars, he showered her with affection. Her death in 1958 at the age of 46 was the single greatest trauma of his life. He was inconsolable at her funeral, and those close to him say that a light went out in him that day that never came back on. To dream of him crying for his mother is to see behind the public facade to the deep, unresolved grief that he carried with him for the rest of his life. It is a dream of pure vulnerability. In public, Elvis was a symbol of masculine power and confidence. This dream reveals the frightened, grieving boy who was still inside him. This dream is a powerful act of humanization. It's easy to think of a figure like Elvis as something more than human, a mythic being. The dream of his tears reminds us that he was a real person who experienced profound loss, just like any of us. It forges a deep emotional connection between the dreamer and the star. The dreamer is not a fan looking at an idol, they are a fellow human being witnessing another's pain. The psychology of grief is complex. Unresolved grief can lead to depression, anxiety, and a host of other problems. Many believe that Elvis's later struggles with addiction and his inability to form lasting, healthy relationships were rooted in the trauma of his mother's death. The dream is a symbolic representation of that psychological wound. It's a wound that never healed. The dreamer's role as a silent witness is also significant. They cannot intervene or offer comfort. This can reflect a feeling of helplessness. We can see the pain of others, even our heroes, but we are often powerless to stop it. The dream captures that frustrating reality. It is a meditation on empathy and its limits. This dream is not about the music or the fame. It's about the most universal human experience, the love between a child and a parent, and the pain of losing that love. By focusing on this primal emotion, the dream cuts through all the layers of myth and celebrity and finds the tragic, beating heart of the story. How much of our adult lives are shaped by the unresolved grief of our childhoods? Is the vulnerability of our heroes what truly makes them relatable to us? And what does it mean to feel sorrow for someone you have never met who died years ago? Number 3, could two people share the same dream? A brother and sister who live in different states have a strange phone call one morning. I had the weirdest dream about Elvis last night, the sister says. Me too, the brother replies. They start to describe their dreams. The details are eerily similar. In both dreams, Elvis was standing at a crossroads under a full moon. He was wearing the gold lame suit from the 1950s. He didn't speak, but he pointed down one of the roads as if giving them direction. Neither of them had been talking or thinking about Elvis. The dream just came to them on the same night with the same strange imagery. This is the phenomenon of a shared dream. It's a rare but reported experience where two or more people have remarkably similar dreams at the same time. It's a concept that challenges our understanding of consciousness and the nature of dreams themselves. The most famous proponent of ideas that could explain this was Carl Jung. His theory of the collective unconscious proposed that all humans share a deep level of the psyche filled with universal archetypes and symbols. A dream of Elvis at a crossroads could be seen as a manifestation of the trickster or guide archetype, offering a choice or a new path. According to Jung's theory, it's conceivable that two people, especially two with a close emotional bond like siblings, could tap into the same archetypal imagery from the collective unconscious on the same night. Another of Jung's concepts is synchronicity. He defined it as a meaningful coincidence, where two or more events happen at the same time in a way that is not causally related, but seems to have a special meaning for the person experiencing it. The shared dream of Elvis could be a powerful example of synchronicity. The coincidence of the two dreams is what gives the event its power and meaning. It feels like more than just a random chance. Skeptics would offer a more grounded explanation. Siblings share a common upbringing, a shared set of cultural references, and similar genetics. It's possible that they were exposed to a similar trigger, a song on the radio, an old movie on TV, that neither of them consciously remembered. This shared, forgotten stimulus could have led to similar dreams. Their minds, shaped by similar experiences, might simply process information in similar ways. The eerie similarities could also be exaggerated in the retelling, as the two siblings unconsciously shape their stories to better match each other's. But for those who have experienced it, the feeling of a shared dream is profound. It suggests that our minds are not as separate and isolated as we believe. It hints at a deeper level of connection, a form of non-local communication that we don't yet understand. The dream feels less like a product of a single brain, and more like a shared virtual space that the two dreamers visited together. The imagery of the crossroads is also powerful. It is a universal symbol of choice and destiny. To see a guide figure like Elvis at a crossroads implies that both the brother and sister are facing a significant decision in their lives. The dream is a message from their shared subconscious telling them which way to go. Are our minds truly isolated islands, or are we connected by invisible threads of consciousness? Could a strong emotional bond between two people allow them to enter the same dream space? Or are shared dreams just a remarkable coincidence, a trick of memory and shared experience? Number 2, can you feel a performance is the last one. It's June 26, 1977. A devoted fan is at the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis to see Elvis in concert. They've seen him perform many times before, but this time feels different. He's overweight and his voice is not as strong as it used to be. But he pours every last ounce of energy he has into the performance. During his final song, Can't Help Falling in Love, the fan is overcome with a sudden, inexplicable sense of finality. A voice in their head says, "This is it. You'll never see him again." They start to cry, not understanding why. Less than 2 months later, Elvis is dead. That concert in Indianapolis was his last. This is a premonition experienced in a waking state, a powerful intuition that a moment is more significant than it appears. It's not a dream in the traditional sense, but it has the same otherworldly quality. It's a feeling of seeing through the surface of the present moment to the future that lies beyond it. What could cause such a feeling? One explanation is that the fan was picking up on subtle, non-verbal cues. They saw how tired and unwell Elvis looked. They heard the strain in his voice. They saw the effort it was taking him to get through the show. Consciously, they were just enjoying the concert. But subconsciously, their brain was putting all these pieces together. The feeling of finality was not a psychic message from the future. It was a logical conclusion based on the available evidence, a conclusion that only rose to the surface of their consciousness as a powerful, intuitive feeling. This is something we all experience on a smaller scale. We get a bod feeling about a situation, or we intuitively know what someone is going to say before they say it. This is often our brain processing a huge amount of data-based body language, tone of voice, past experiences at a speed much faster than our conscious thought. The fan in Indianapolis may have been having an extremely powerful version of this experience. Another perspective comes from the world of performance theory. A great performer creates a powerful emotional connection with their audience. There is a real energy exchange. It's possible that in his final concert, Elvis, knowing on some level how sick he was pouring an unusual amount of emotion and vulnerability into his performance. He may have been unconsciously saying goodbye. The sensitive fan in the audience wasn't predicting the future. They were accurately reading the emotional signal that the performer was sending in that moment. It was a shared moment of profound, unspoken truth. The specific concert has become legendary. CBS filmed it for a TV special, Elvis in Concert, which aired after his death. The footage is difficult to watch for many fans. It shows a man who is clearly in poor health, but who is still able to deliver moments of incredible beauty and power, especially when he sits at the piano to sing unchained melody. The premonition of the fan in the audience is a reflection of the tragic power of that final performance. It was a man literally singing his heart out for the last time. Is intuition a form of psychic ability, or is it just the brain's powerful pattern matching software working in the background? Can an artist communicate their deepest fears and sorrows to an audience without saying a word? And if you knew you were witnessing the end of something beautiful, would it make the moment more precious or too painful to bear? Number one, what if he came back to save us? This is the most powerful and mythic of all the Elvis dreams. The dream is not about the past. It's about the future. The world is in a state of crisis. There is division, conflict, and despair. Then, a message spreads across the globe. He is back. Elvis has returned. He appears, not as a rock and roll singer, but as a messianic figure. He looks as he did in his prime, radiating health and charisma. He doesn't perform, he speaks. And his message is one of unity, love, and peace. He heals the divisions in the world. He brings people together. He is the savior who has returned in a time of need. This dream elevates Elvis from a cultural icon to a religious figure. It's the king under the mountain myth taken to its ultimate conclusion. He is not just coming back, he is coming back to save the world. This is the king as Christ figure, a secular messiah for a modern age. Why Elvis? Why would a rock and roll singer from Mississippi be cast in this role? Because his story contains many of the elements of a classic religious narrative. He came from humble beginnings, the manger in Tupelo. He had a revolutionary message, the liberating power of rock and roll. He was adored by the masses, but distrusted by the authorities. He had a period of trial and temptation, the Hollywood years, and he died a tragic sacrificial death. His story arc fits the mythological template of the dying and rising God. The sociologist Emil Durkheim wrote about the concept of collective effervescence, the feeling of energy and harmony that people experience when they come together for a shared purpose, often a religious ritual. A rock concert can be a form of this. For a brief time, thousands of people are united, focused on a single figure, sharing a powerful emotional experience. The dream of Elvis returning as a savior is a dream of creating that feeling of collective effervescence on a global scale. It's a dream of ultimate unity. This dream is also a profound expression of a deep cultural longing. In times of social and political turmoil, people often look for a strong, charismatic leader to solve their problems. When no such leader appears in the real world, the subconscious mind can create one. Elvis, as a figure who is beloved across many political and social divides, becomes an ideal candidate. He is a symbol of a time when things seem simpler, a nostalgic figure who could, in fantasy, heal the wounds of the present. The book, The Gospel of Elvis, by Lewis Cantor, explores the ways in which the Elvis phenomenon has taken on the characteristics of a religion. With its own saints, Elvis himself, relics his possessions, holy sites Graceland, and believers his fans. The dream of his messianic return is the ultimate expression of this secular religion. It is the Elvis myth taken to its logical, theological extreme. It's a dream that says our problems are too big for any normal politician or leader to solve. We need a miracle. We need a king. Is our need for saviors so strong that we are willing to turn our pop stars into gods? What does it say about our faith in our current institutions that we dream of a dead rock star coming back to fix the world? And if he did return, would we even listen?